What is going on, everybody? Welcome on into another episode here of Dbacks Dispatch with the trio back in action to talk about a better ending to the series than it was looking, as the D-backs did drop this series against the Toronto Blue Jays. But we'll dive in more into that and what we saw throughout the series, our thoughts and opinions, and we'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions and takes as well. As this was, again, a little unfortunate that we couldn't take this one, especially with one of the games being within our grasp. But either way, the D-backs avoid the sweep. If this is your first time here at Dbacks Dispatch, whether on YouTube or if you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple, wherever else you might find your podcast, we appreciate you guys. If you're if you are on the YouTube side, every like, comment, and subscription to our channel does help out a lot. It really pushes it in the algorithm. Make sure you guys also go over to TikTok, drop us a follow there, Instagram, and then Twitter especially. We got a lot of banger memes. Gabe's usually cooking up something at least for every game, something good going on over there. And then also go to azsnakepit.com to check out all the written content, not only just from us with our like recap articles. I know Josh does a great job with that. There's a lot of other great writers over there. Our man Jeff, whether it's the game recaps or just game day discussions. It's a great community over there. So, like I said, go over to azsnakepit.com. But we'll kind of jump into things here. Like I said, the D-backs did avoid the sweep there and win the final game, but we'll start chronological order like we normally do. Game one, it was looking solid. The D-backs did have I think they went down early in this game. Yeah, they went down early in this game, 1-0 in the first. Came back in the fourth and the fifth inning, put up three in those two innings, took the lead, got some insurance in the seventh inning, but the Blue Jays made it a one-run game. And then in the ninth inning, it was looking decent. Shelby Miller got the first out, but then back-to-back home runs by Bo Bichette and Addison Barger gave the Blue Jays a walk-off home run. The D-backs bullpen continuously just, breaks our heart, which we'll dive into that more a little bit. But some of the positive from this game was while he didn't go maybe as long as some of us would have wanted, it was at least a little bit of a better outing than we've seen in the past. Brandon Pfaadt did go 5 innings, gave up 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, and 1 home run. The one being to Vladdy Jr., who's just very special talent. It was bound to happen at some point. But that's now back-to-back outings from Brandon where he has gone 5 innings and given up 2 runs, which is a very nice change to see as the previous games before that. That was what the 3 runs against the Dodgers, 3 runs against the Nationals or the Cardinals, 8 against the Nationals, and then 6 against the Braves. So definitely trending in the positive direction. So my question to you, gentlemen, everybody else in the chat, is what did you like from Brandon in this game? What do you think was working well for him? Obviously, wasn't the most perfect outing that we could have seen from him, but what did you at least take away from this in a positive way that gives you some hope that he might be turning the corner back to that ace of the staff that we kind of saw to start the year?
The main thing with Brandon is just the fact that he's been a little bit more consistent, at least the last couple of starts. He's just been throwing strikes, which is what you want to see. He's just not nibbling around the zone as much as he normally does. Obviously, the strikeouts, I'm not worried about it just because the Blues in general don't really strike out. So if he only has 3 strikeouts to 5 innings, then I'm not really worried about it because that's just who the Blue Jays are. They don't have a lot of guys who have that sort of swing and miss I don't know, like a Nationals team would, where you can strike him out 10, 15 times. But I thought he looked pretty good. I mean, he only went 80 pitches during this outing as well. He probably could have gotten out for the six. But me and Brandon, I believe, mentioned it last time with the Gallon outing, which is at times maybe Lovello should be a little bit quicker with the hook. Like he mentioned that some guys have earned the right or whatever to, let them work out. But I think Brandon Pfaadt, and I think even to a certain extent Zach Gallen, they're guys who they have earned the right to figure things out. But I think with how bad they've been and how many issues they've had as a whole pitching staff, now is not the time to experiment. Now is not the time to let them figure things out. When they're in charge of a wild card spot, I think is when you let them figure things out. But right now, I thought, at least in this case, Torrey made the right decision. Pull him at 5 innings with only 80 pitches. He did allow some hard contact, but that's going to be expected just because that's who Brandon Pfaadt is. That's who he's always been. And again, it's the Blue Jays. We can't act like this is a bad team. This is a good team. They are in contention for a wild card. I mean, they have Bo Bichette, Barger, Vlad Jr., Springer. Like, they have a lot of guys who can just mash the cover off the ball. So the fact that he was able to get through five, just allow a couple runs, I do think what we always ask for guys is to give them a chance to win, and he did in this case. Unfortunately, the D-backs give back bullpen gave this game up, and it was really unfortunate for him not to get his. I believe it would be his eighth or ninth game of the season. Get his
Would have been his ninth win, yeah.
ninth win that he had secured. So fortunately, he couldn't get it because of the bullpen, but I think there's still a lot to say, even with the offense as well. 3 for 12, it's not going to get it done against this Blue Jays team.
Yeah, I think you put it well. The Blue Jays, they're not the Rockies. They're not like any of these 9 games that we have coming up after the series. They're a good squad. They don't strike out. They hit really well, especially Alejandro Kirk, one of the more underrated catchers in the league. They just got a pretty solid offense from top to bottom. I do agree. It was just a nice thing to see from Brandon. Just at least go even 5 innings, not having these 2, 3, 4 inning outings to where it really taxes the bullpen, where we basically have Walmart baggers back there eating up innings because that's the state of our bullpen. Which again, we'll talk about that a little bit here in a second. But I do agree with you that there's a lot of positives from this game. And while it does suck that he didn't get his win, at least I imagine it'll do a lot for his confidence going forward. But Brandon, same question to you. What did you like from Brandon in this game? I guess Brandon. Sorry. What did you like from Fott in this game? While again wasn't the most perfect outing, it was far from his terrible outings that we saw against the Nationals and the Braves. What stood out to you the most here in Toronto?
That it looks like he's starting to turn it around a little bit. Like, I don't expect him to completely fix it, like go from the one start he had against the Nats where he gave up the yes hitter and couldn't get that single out, to being the Brandon Pfaadt we saw for a majority of the season. I just want to see some sort of improvement. Like we talked about, um, the progression, or say the regression that he's had. So I'm hoping he can kind of turn that around and go the other way, go kind of back to where he was. Um, so I'm hoping that that does um, help him out a little bit.
Oh,
I think Brandon's mic went out.
I think your mic went out, sir.
That's probably because I accidentally hit mute. I thought it was volume. No, the freaking home run that he gave up to Vlad was Jesus. Vlad destroyed that baseball. 112 off the bat. Um, 448 feet. Like, he just absolutely destroyed that ball. Um, but I felt like that was like his only real hard hit um, that I was worried about. Barger, I don't know who this dude is, but Jesus Christ, he is um, really, really good. So, um, that is, yeah, really impressive.
Yes,
Solid start.
definitely a step in the right direction, and I'm hoping we can see a little bit more of this Brandon Fott moving forward because this D-backs team is definitely going to need it with all the injuries to our starting rotation and then especially bullpen. Who, as Gabe mentioned before, the D-backs give backs bullpen was in full force in this one, blowing yet another lead in the 6th inning and beyond. I believe we're leading the league in late game blown leads, which is definitely not what I think a lot of us thought was going to happen going into the season. Especially, I remember specifically one of our early month recaps. We were talking about this being potentially the best D-backs bullpen in history, and oh boy, has that aged like milk in the Arizona sun because this is a
Yeah.
god awful bullpen.
But I think even at the time, we mentioned the fact that they had a lot of B guys, which is something that we don't always like to see, especially when it comes to this bullpen. It's a lot of guys that weren't Puck, they weren't Martinez, and even at the time, we mentioned, like, I know you were hot on Scott. You wanted Tanner Scott on this team, and he's struggling a little bit with the Dodgers, but overall, excuse me, they spent the money. The Padres spent the money on the bullpen. The Giants spent the money on their bullpen. We saw all these teams spent actual real money on the bullpen, and for back end guys, this team didn't spend any money on back end guys. Like they were going to wholly rely on AJ Puck and Justin Martinez, who are great. I'm not here to say that they're not great for what they do, but it's just one of those things where even at the time I felt like I think we all felt even at the time that they probably should have done more to get high end guys rather than bolstering the B guys. Because as of right now, it's all B and C guys. Shelby Miller was a B guy. He was a guy who was supposed to come in the seventh at best, and Jalen Beeks was picked up literally off the street the day before opening day, I think. Um, Kendall Graven was the only guy that they spent any money on as well, which is 1.5 million or whatever it was, like
Yeah, it was super
just
super low
above,
end.
yeah, just above a major league deal. But when you see guys like Kirby, like Tanner Scott, like all of these guys getting picked up by these rival teams, and I see a lot of people mention like, oh, well, they spent all their money on Corbin Burns. Bullpen guys are, I'm not gonna say they're cheap, but they're cheap in terms of what what you're investing in them. It's a 1 year guy. None of these guys are getting really big long term deals like a Josh Hader or Edwin Diaz. They're all 1 year guys. We're gonna spend 10 million, spend 10 millions on a 1 year guy.
Yeah, so it's definitely one of those where they kind of I think they were expecting to have a healthy bullpen, and if they were fully healthy, you know, Puck Martinez and if Ginkel, which a little bit more on Ginkel a little bit later too. If they were healthy and playing at the way that we know they could, I think we'd be looking at this bullpen a lot different, and I imagine that's what Mike Hazen was banking on. But unfortunately, it's just the way baseball goes. Injuries happen, regression happens, and it's been hitting the bullpen insanely hard. Shelby did have that was his fourth blown save of the season, um, but again, he was not signed here. I guess kind of leading into the second topic we had here in game two. I know Gabe, you got a little bit of your thoughts on it already, which I'll pass to you in a second. But going into the season, as you mentioned, he was not signed to big money. He was, I believe, signed on a minor league contract, and he made the team out of spring training because he was looking so good. He was supposed to be a lower leverage, middle relief, sixth inning, seventh inning, maybe eighth inning kind of guy for like a hold here and there. He was not meant to be the closer of this team. Like there was, three other guys. Josh made that graphic at the beginning of the season in spring of the three-headed snake of Ginkel, Martinez, and Puck. Those were the guys that were expected to get the bulk of these innings. Later in the games, like, oh yeah, maybe Martinez isn't available. You still got Ginkel and Puck. Maybe one of the others isn't available. Then you still got the other two no matter what. With all three of them being injured, there's been a lot that's been riding on Shelby, and he's been, again, not terrible. He has a 2.17 ERA on the season, given up. I feel like some of his outings have been, a little bit heart pounding, especially that one against the Rockies, that 1-0 win. It's been a bumpy ride, but he's been doing very solid, and I think holding his own for what we've been seeing. But it's not enough. He can't be the only guy. Especially we've been seeing Anthony DFA Sklani. I can't even. I was gonna make a DFA joke. Either way, he should be DFA. He sucks.
I
Taylor
mean, he
Scott.
was.
I mean,
And
yeah,
then we
like
picked him up.
they're not good. The D-backs have been getting, picking up other teams' scraps. They've been dumpster diving, trying to find somebody. Which, hey, don't get me wrong, it worked once with Ryan Thompson. Jalen Beeks has been pretty solid. Like Gabe said, picked up off the street pretty much at the beginning of the season. There's been a few decent hits that have been filled in for good roles, but we need more high leverage guys like we were expecting with Puck Martinez, guys like that. Especially now with Puck pretty much going to be probably getting Tommy John as well. We're fucked if in this current state of the bullpen. And I think that I guess my question to you guys is how badly does Mike Hazen need to make a trade? Like I know it's approaching the deadline, or the deadline's not like fast approaching, but it'll be here faster than we know it. We can't keep getting by with, especially if our starters are only going to go 5 innings. There's not that many arms in the bullpen. If we're going to be relying on the Taylor Scotts and the Anthony DeSclafanis, we might as well just, punt the season away, which is not what I want at all. But how badly do the D-backs need to make some kind of move, whether it's for a name that's been floated around there a little bit, like David Bednar, or maybe some other relievers? How badly does it need to happen, and maybe who is a name like Bednar or somebody else that's not mentioned yet that you want the D-backs to try to target? Me personally, Kyle Finnegan. The Nationals are ass. They're probably going to sell. Kyle Finnegan, maybe not that high-end guy, but he would do this bullpen wonders, and I wouldn't have to see fucking DeSclafani pitch anymore. But I'll pass it to you, Gabe. What are your thoughts on how the D-backs need to address their bullpen and maybe some names that they should go after?
Yeah, I mean, I will say Oscar is right that the Giants and Padres, for the most part, didn't really spend the type of money that the Dodgers did in this case. He says, I disagree. Both Padres and Giants didn't really spend money. They have good pitching departments and development, which, yeah, he is right on that. They didn't do any huge moves. I believe they just got the Padres did get a pitcher, but I believe he's a starter. Pivetta, I believe it was the guy. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
mixing them up, but you see some of the other teams like the Dodgers. They spent the money. Most of the teams on top of their divisions and on top of the standings did go out and spend some money on some relievers. I mean, the Boston Red Sox, who sold off, generational talents, even went out and spent some money on the bullpen. Like, there's some teams I think that probably, the D-backs should have gone after some guys that the D-backs should have gone after. I mean, even just starting to say Kenley Jansen. I mean, the Angels have a terrible pitching development there. Who knows what Kenley Jansen could have done here? But overall, the point still remains that this team truly didn't spend any money on the bullpen this offseason. They got guys, like I said, they got him off the street. Shelby Miller. There's like I think maybe at some point he's gonna have to make the decision to either drop the split finger because whether it's getting better or worse, and he might be regressing to the mean with the split finger, but there's something he has to watch out for. But overall, I think Hazen kind of you know he spent the big load on the on Corbin Burns, and then just kind of didn't really bother to actually address the bullpen issues.
Yeah, say it's not aging too well, and especially now that there's so many teams competing in baseball in general, not just the National League. We all know how tough this league can be, the American League as well. There are some. I know Brandon mentioned a few names. Maybe I'll let him save it because he's mentioned it a few times in the group chat and on I think our last show on a reliever for an American League team that is probably going to be selling. Might have to give up a little bit to get him, but there are some interesting names out there. But either way, I think they need some kind of help. I do agree that there's been a little bit of concerning stats behind Shelby's some of his other pitches, but we have some comments from Tori that we'll get to in a little bit after Brandon because I do think it kind of at least shows Tori does have confidence in this guy and is I don't blame him because there's really not many other names in the bullpen that we can actually have confidence in at the time. I think I can count them all on like maybe one hand, and that's like using 1/5 of my hand. But Brandon, same thing to you. How badly do the D-backs need to make a move for a bullpen arm, whether it's a higher leverage back end guy or just anybody in general? And maybe what's some names that you could see them going after that maybe we've discussed already or maybe that we haven't even brought up before?
Before I get started, how do I sound? Do I still sound really low?
Now you sound better.
Awesome. All right, didn't want to go on a whole spiel, and you could be able to hear me. Obviously, yeah. In my opinion, we have two. Shelby Miller and Jalen Beeks are the only two that I trust right now. Anybody else that comes out of that pen, I have no faith in. Unfortunately, Tori has all the faith in the world in Ryan Thompson because he has no other choice. Everyone else out there, just they have no faith in. And kind of like we said, Shelby was really brought in to be a 6th and 7th inning guy, to get to the Pucks, the J Marts, the Ginkles. And he pitched well in spring, and he pitched well to start the year, so that's why he ended up becoming the 9th inning closer. And he's had, like, outside of this, he's had a lot of other outings in the ninth that definitely were not smooth. So I really, I say at minimum they have to trade for at least 3 arms to force Shelby to not have to be that guy. Like, have Shelby be the 7th inning guy. Like, I'd be completely okay with that. The issue is there's no sellers right now. There's like 2, maybe 3. Oakland, they're not freaking trading Mason Miller, so don't even like that's not even happening. Pittsburgh, yes, but right now, if you tried to probably trade for David Bednar, it's going to cost you way too much, and that's why you really don't see these trades in June. Is because the asking price is just ridiculous, and that is going to leave us open to an absolute fleece that we're going to look back on in August and September, and it's like this, um, just just awful.
Hopefully not
So
as bad as the Astros trading or the Dodgers trading Jordan for Justin Fields or not Justin Fields.
it
Field.
could be that like yes, Josh Fields. It could be that bad. Like that's why I don't want like I want him to make a trade, but I want him to be smart about it. Don't make a trade just to make a trade because that's what the fan base is asking for. Um, for me, like we're on the verge of buy or sell right now, and these next 9 games are so crucial, in my opinion. So depending on how this next 9 games goes, I think we'll determine if they're buyers or sellers. But I guess for me, top on the list, Felix Bautista. That would like Bautista from Baltimore in the ninth inning would be amazing. Um, Aroldis Chapman, like I don't think it's gonna cost very much.
Morally, I
Um,
can't. I just I
yeah. More like that's where I'm like, how much is it gonna cost? Like if it's not gonna cost a lot, I'm willing to sacrifice my morals. But that one is more of like I don't want them to do that till like 30 days from now, like July 15th to like because then like for me it's all right. So are we at that spot where we're like 1 game out of that final wild card? Then I'm okay with it. Right now, 3 games out, I wouldn't trade for Chapman. And like kind of same with Kenley Jansen. Like if the price isn't too much. But the thing is, there's so many teams that are really in it right now across both leagues. It's really hard to find a trade partner, and if you do, you're subject to a very awful fleece. So
Yeah,
that's
I
what
yeah.
I'm scared of.
I think we should just have the domestic abuser backs. Let's bring in Chapman. Let's bring in Ozuna from the Braves. Screw it. Like at this point, we have no
Now
other
fix our
options.
DH situation.
Let's fix both of them with the abuser league. I do agree with you. I think those are good options. I mean, there's teams who are just going to have guys who throw really hard. I mean, look at what the Dodgers did with Kopech last year. All they did was I can't remember what pitch they got rid of Kopech, but they just told him, "Hey, stop throwing that pitch," and that fixed Kopech, and he's got a big deal out of that. They won the World Series almost exclusively because of Kopech. Like, there's teams out there that I think aren't competing right now. I mean, there's the Pirates. There's a few teams that have 1 year deal guys that I think this team could go after where they're not going to get fleeced. But I do agree with you right now. There's a lot of teams who probably have a higher asking price. But I mean, look what the Giants just did. They got Rafi Devers, and the reporting came out that Boston wanted their top prospect, and Buster Posey just said no, and then that's it. They didn't get it. Why can't Mike Hazen do that? Why can't he just be like, "Nah,
Because
I'm
the
good. I'm not
Giants
giving
are
you a lot
paying
of."
his salary.
Dude, I
Like
remember seeing
that's the big
something.
one.
Yeah, I remember seeing something
But
online where it's like the Red Sox went to the Giants. They're like, all right, I want 4 players. And the Giants respond with, okay, like who, like top prospect, and there was like 4 players, just
just four players.
anyone.
That's literally what it felt like. I mean, that's kind of what they did with the Mookie Betts trade. Like, how are these teams getting away with it, but the D-backs have to go and reach into their top prospect and stuff like that? I mean, Blaze is killing it. He's a guy who's ready and has major league experience. So, I mean, there's certain guys I think this team they can part away with, but it's just up to Hazen if he wants to deal with them or not. And I know that he says he wants to get guys who are controllable for a few years, but sometimes you just got to bite the bullet and get guys who are going to be 1 year guys and just hope that in the meantime, while you get Puck back, while you get Jmart back, like while you get some of these guys back, that they're able to at least bridge that gap and get this team into a playoff spot because they have, 14 blown saves now? 14 games they've lost because of that. Imagine they won half of those. You're talking about this team being in command of that second or even third wild card spot, but that's why I'm like Hazen needs to do the moves. He needs to do them now. Like, not wait until this series is done because today Torrey used Murillo and he used Shelby Miller. What about tomorrow? Who's he going to use tomorrow? Who are the guys that this training staff is going to redline for Torrey? He's going to end up using, I don't even know, Ryan Thompson again in the eighth or ninth inning.
Yes, we'll discuss a little bit more about that, especially in Game 3, because that was one of my thoughts too of seeing DeSclafani give up those runs. Going into cores, we need as many bullpen pitchers as we can, and seeing these guys get not burned, I guess necessarily, but used now can be a little bit concerning. But want to shout out all you guys in the YouTube comment section. Ethan, good finish to the series considering such. I do agree. Like I said, we'll talk a little bit more, especially be more a little happier, especially because today's game was a lot better. Um, The Cam also brings up a good point. Speaking of like the bullpen, he's saying I was really looking forward to Dre competing for high leverage, and he only lasted like 2 weeks in the big so far. And I believe we were talking about in our Discord too, which again, shout out or shameless plug Discord. It's linked to our Twitter. Go join it over there. I believe Dre was almost a month ago put on for an injury, and they said it should only be like a week or so. I think it was shoulder inflammation. I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember what the tweet said, but yeah, so it was shoulder inflammation. He's not back yet, which is a little concerning. Any D-backs pitcher with any kind of arm injury, I'm just expecting Tommy John at this point. Even Charles Elliott saying that the front office was really counting on J-Mart, Puck, and Ginkel to do the major lifting for the bullpen. And I think that's just a big thing that a lot of us weren't expecting. And then even, I believe it was Oscar in the comments saying, opening day bullpen, Puck, Martinez, Jarvis, Mantiply, Beeks, Thompson, Nelson, Miller. I think we can all agree this was good enough. The only two standing and best are dumpster diving relievers, and I think that's a good way to put it. We just haven't, really seen. We just don't really have confidence. But with the whole confidence thing, Taydad also brings up a good point here. A guy that I feel like we haven't mentioned enough, maybe just because he's a little bit newer. We haven't seen him get as many high leverage innings. Is Kyle Backus. Backus has been a breath of fresh air in the bullpen. He says that Kyle Backus has been outstanding. He hasn't allowed an earned run, gives left-handers fits. He's done a great job, and I do agree. I think that he does deserve his flowers. Might not be up there with the yet on the list of names people we fully trust, like Brandon said with Beeks and Miller, but he is quickly making a name for himself, at least in the bullpen, of being a more reliable guy, which not necessarily a hard thing to do considering, you know, it's there's not many it's one of those where I'm like, okay, cool, you're a golden nugget in a pile of shit. Of course it's going to be easy to
Yeah, and also, I mean, Oscar does make a great point, but name another team whose bullpen was just good enough. Like all the other competing teams didn't have a bullpen that was good enough. I mean, they all have elite bullpens and or borderline elites. Like they don't rely. I mean, we this team basically had a bullpen of Jenga pieces. If you take the wrong one out, then the whole thing falls. And early on in the season, I mean, we saw certain issues that they had. J Mart and Pug were kind of the only guys who were reliably closing out games and didn't have issues with that, but everyone else did have issues even early on. Like going into the seventh, going into the eighth, like you're confident, but then they gave you a reason not to be confident. And this team shouldn't have to rely on two guys being out for it to completely crumble. And I think that's kind of the main issue that we're talking about here. Is just it shouldn't be that fallible or that so faulty that one guy getting taken off makes this team completely crumble. And when Puck went down, even with J Mart here, this team was still susceptible to those complete collapses.
Yeah, I do agree that like it's not just because of one thing, but it's been a little bit of a unfortunate, you know, not being as proactive in the offseason going into the season, trying to build a better rotation and just hoping, again, praying that there's no injuries because the bullpen depth has been tested really hard. And kind of going into, like I mentioned earlier, going into game 2, things weren't looking terrible. The D-backs were only down 2-1. Going into the bottom of the 6th inning, Erod did pretty solid. He went 4 2/3, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, or 2 runs, one of them being earned, 3 walks, 4 Ks. Once again, walks just killing the D-backs. Gave at least them a decent chance to win. Like I said, it was 2-1. But then a guy that a lot of us expected, I mean, I guess didn't expect, Taylor Scott, I don't think any of us expected him to be getting any major league innings. He struggled really mightily there in the sixth inning. He gave up three, and then while the game was, maybe a little bit more out of reach, this offense we've seen, especially in the last week, they can score. So a 5-1 game isn't, really that far of a hill to climb. But unfortunately, Kevin Ginkel basically did the exact same thing that Taylor Scott did, who's supposed to be one of our more reliable guys. We saw what he did in the 2023 playoffs. When he's on, he is one of the best relievers in the game. But he has just not been that this year. He pitched only an inning, gave up 2 hits, 3 earned runs, all of them, or 3 earned runs, 2 walks, and then his season ERA is now up to 13.50, which is, again, just smaller sample size. He's only pitched 12 innings, but still is not the Kevin Ginkel that we remember seeing in, especially even last year when he was healthy. He's now given up a run in his last 4 outings. Obviously, the 3 here against the Blue Jays, 1 against the Padres, 5 against the Pirates. We all remember that one. That was a dog shit outing. And then 1 against the Cardinals, which is weird because he went a total of 5 outings before. Like, he's had a few blow up outings. I think he gave up 5 against the Dodgers in that Saturday wild walk off game where Otani crushed that go ahead home run. So it's been some hit or miss from him, but just not consistent. Like I said, an over 13 ERA for Kevin Ginkel is not going to cut it, and is another reason why we're feeling the woes of the bullpen pretty heavily. So my question to you guys, everyone is in chat as well, chime in if you guys notice anything. What necessarily do you think is wrong with Ginkel? Like, do you think it's control? Do you think it's maybe a little velocity? Maybe it's more of a mental kind of side of things. I know he, again, did miss some time with injuries, so maybe he's still trying to get back into the rhythm of the things. But what do you think the reason could be to seeing Kevin Ginkel struggle in a way that we really haven't seen since one of his early years as a Diamondback?
I think the main issue is just the fact that his velo is down, and so he kind of has to throw that slider a little bit more. And the slider is just not sliding the way it normally would be, just because he just has to throw a little bit harder. He has to grip it in his hand a little bit harder to where it has more movement. But when it has more movement, but it's not playing off of the fastball well enough, he's just not getting the swing and miss that he normally would. But his velo, I think, is down by like 2 miles an hour for the most part. That's a huge difference for a reliever. For a starter, that can be okay, but for a reliever, where you're only getting about 20 pitches per game, like that's a huge difference. So he was sitting at 96, 97 before. He's at 93, 94 right now. So I think that's the main thing. It's just his velo has been down, and it could be, I believe he had a shoulder issue coming out of spring. That's why he didn't start the season with his team. And I think that's what it is for me. Just the lack of control. He just sprays the ball after a while. He doesn't really have confidence in his fastball, and I can understand why. Like, his fastball is just not hitting, and it's not going as hard as it normally would be. So it's just kind of just leaving it out there. And I mentioned before, I mean, even with Juan Murillo, who ended up pitching, I believe, last game or this game, when he's throwing 100, he missed a lot. He left a lot down the middle. It was my Tuesday. He left a lot down the middle, but he was throwing it at over 100. So you can get away with throwing it straight down the middle when you're throwing 100. When you're throwing 93, 94, throwing it down the middle, you're not going to get away with it. And I think that's kind of the issue for Ginkgo right now. His velo is just down way too much, and I think having him be a high leverage arm at this point in the year, I mean, maybe that velo can go up, but as of right now, him being a higher leverage guy is just not going to cut it.
Yeah, so he needs some kind of confidence boost, whether it's in a lower outing. Like, I know it sucks that he was using game two because today would have been the perfect opportunity if he was fresh, 9-1, 9-2 lead, give at least a few, innings under his belt to earn that confidence back. But I do agree. I think it's a lot of, it's a mixture of all things. Lack of velo, it's not as much there. The slider isn't, as nasty it was. Like, again, I say it, we saw in the 2023 playoffs, that slider was one of the most disgusting pitches. It was almost like curveball like with how much it moved. It's just not there currently. And I think he's just searching kind of like again, it happens to a lot of players, whether they're a hitter or pitcher. Sometimes they can struggle and they can just, go through just a streak where nothing's clicking, nothing's going right. Baseball is a bitch of a sport, and where it can be a very, very cruel mistress into what it, can have happen for players. It's a very quick game where you can be on the top of the world at one moment, and then a week or two later you're not yourself that you were before. But I do hope that we can kind of see him maybe get a few confidence boost outings, whether in Colorado or in these next 9 games because we have a easier schedule coming up soon. But Brandon, same question to you. What do you personally think that it could be attributing to Ginkel's struggles? Is it kind of like what Gabe was mentioning with a mixture of things, or is there something else that you might have noticed with Kevin and why his outings have just been absolutely god awful lately?
So I agree with Gabe, but I also disagree. It is his fastball. I don't think his velocity is the reason for his struggles. He doesn't know where it's going. He has no command of that fastball right now. Like, just like every time that he throws that fastball, it is not going where he wants it to, and he has no confidence in that fastball. He should still be in Reno, but due to the state of this bullpen, like they needed someone up here that has been up here before, and he was pretty much it. Like he was the only other guy in this organization that has had experience at the major league level. Like for me, it's like I don't care that his velo's dipped to like 93, 94. Like it just throw it where you want it to go. Like if you have no command of that fastball, you're going to keep throwing that slider, and guys are going to be able to know that it's coming, and they're going to be able to hit it. So it's just, again, I don't know if this is a shoulder issue or is it Kaplan? Because Jesus, Kaplan, like, how has everyone regressed? Literally everyone on the pitching staff, starters and bullpen,
Other than
really
Fight.
has regressed. I mean, yeah. So what? One out of what? 15 pitchers that we've probably had up here. Like it's just, and all the injuries is just, it's insane. Like I've never, whatever pitching program that he installed this offseason, it's not working. I just like I just want Ginkel to get right. But again, I don't need 2023 Ginkel. Just get that ERA down, bro. Like 13 and a half in like 12 innings. That's insane. Blows my mind. One just odd thing in this series, so many hit by pitches. Like on both sides. Like if I
This
was a
was an NL
batter,
West matchup, there would have been a fight, easy with how many fucking
yeah.
hit batters there were.
Like it just it like I'm like I would fear for my life if I was a batter. Like in this game when Carroll got hit on the hand and you could hear him yell, I'm like, I swear to freaking God. Like, are you kidding? Like just another thing. And then he played for like 5 more minutes. And then he asked to be taken out of the game. And then he sat today, which I'm completely okay with because that means that Torrey doesn't have to sit him this weekend against Colorado because we know that there's going to be people that sit this weekend. I can almost guarantee you there'll be one game either Marte is sitting or he's playing DH in this series because Torrey likes to do that at Colorado is get these guys off their feet. So we might see Vargas play. We might even see Tawa back at like second base or third base. I just want Tawa to play more in general. Because I think he is, like, he's playing better than a lot of the other guys that are currently playing. But Kaplan, I'm like I'm at my wit's end with Kaplan. I really like. Normally, I don't say fire a pitching coach within 80 games of their first year, but bro, like everybody has regressed. So many pitching injuries. I hope that we don't have another one. Just some sort of freak elbow or shoulder injury.
Knock on all the wood you possibly can. But I think Gabe actually pulled up some interesting savant numbers regarding I believe it was Ginkel. You said so. Gabe, I'm curious to see what
Yeah.
numbers you found.
Specifically with his fastball, which is why I mentioned it, is because his fastball has been the biggest issue. Last year, he used it 53% of the time. He averaged 96 miles an hour with it, which is great, which is why it was so valuable because he could play it off the slider, which came in at 87.5 miles an hour. And he used the slider 38% of the time. This season, he's using the four seam 43% of the time, so 10% lower, and it also has a lower value because he's throwing it at 94 miles an hour. So that's about a mile and a half to 2 miles an hour slower than normal. Like it's actually average fast, and it's an average reliever fastball instead of an elite fastball like in other years. But his slider is he's using it at 48%, which is 10% higher. So he switched from using the fastball 10% more, and it's just kind of reverse splits at this point. I think it's clearly not working for him the way it normally should, because he went from 53 for the fastball, 38 in the slider, to 48 for slider, 43 for the four seam. It's just not working for him this year. The slider is even slower. It's at 84 this year. It was at 87 last year. So
Oof.
overall, it's a dip in velo and usage rate as well. I think he needs to focus on a fastball. He needs to focus on getting that fastball, in those corners. He needs to throw it harder as well, because if he doesn't, then he's just not going to be valuable for this team going forward.
Yeah, so I think you both bring up great points about the especially with the numbers on Ginkle with just pitch usage and all that, and I think it kind of goes back to what Brandon was saying, where maybe this genuinely, like I know maybe some of the comments in the past about it's on Kaplan. Sometimes pitchers are the ones that do just like all players. Sometimes the players themselves need to actually perform, but it's getting to the point where even like Jeff saying, why are the only ones talking about Kaplan? I don't know if we're the only ones talking about it, but I feel like we're maybe the only ones that are like at least constantly bringing it up.
Vocal.
We're
Yeah,
just very vocal
over.
about it, which
Right.
some people could think that we're complaining either way. Like I think it's at least something that needs to be mentioned because even Cam's saying in the comments here, I'm starting to think that Strom was doing something that really worked with a lot of these pitchers because a lot of the pitchers that were here the last few years have been worse this year with Kaplan, outside of like we mentioned Ryan Nelson, Merrill Kelly. They're pretty much the only ones that have actually been decent, but I don't know. And then even Jeff saying that the most likely scenario, Strom was better than he got credit for, and everyone was overperforming because we actually had a great pitching coach. Now we have a terrible one, and the results support. And that again, that could very well be maybe whatever pitching program he has him on. Maybe it's poor scouting report, just poor game planning in general, or again, the way sports are, it could just generally be the players themselves are not you know, pitching how they should be. Who knows? Maybe it's also game calling. There's been a lot of Jose Herrera games back there, and I feel like him and Gabby both have some games where it seems like they can call a good game, and then sometimes where I'm like, why the fuck would you call that pitch in that location or in that spot? But either way, we'll never know the actual answer because again, we're just fans on the outside. We don't have the inside deets and all that in regards to what's going on. But it's one
Yeah,
of those
and
where
I
I'm
think I think it's to a certain extent we can blame the players for not performing right, but I think when you have this many guys have Tommy John and have shoulder issues, I think at that point you can point to a pitching coach who's changing whatever he's changing. I mean, we saw it with Bronson Arroyo. When he came over to the D-backs, I remember there was an interview with him early on in the season where he said, like, yeah, they wanted me to lower my because remember he had like the leg kick that went super high up and everything. They told him they wanted him to change that. The pitching coach at the time, I don't remember who it was, but they wanted him to change that, and they wanted him to change a few things. And up until that point, I don't think he had missed a single start in his career. He comes here, he like blows everything out and just has issues, and it's like you can't mess with guys that much and expect to just not have to pay for it. And I think in this case, that's sort of what's happening to some of these pitchers. I mean, I don't know what Kaplan has changed. We just are never going to know because those are things that they're going to keep close to the chest. But at this point, like I don't want to. I hate firing people, like especially this early on in the season. But when you have this many issues, not just with regression but with injuries, I do think it's time to look at the pitching coach instead of just the players themselves. Like relief pitching has always been, um, you know, something that can be good one year and then bad the next year. It's just the way relief pitchers are. Like They have those sort of issues. But in terms of starting pitching, like you can't have this many guys regressing and being injured and not look at the pitching coach and what his regimen is.
Yeah, definitely got to take a look deeper in. Maybe I know the comments that kind of brought it up too. Maybe him and Larkin can both, learn unemployment buddy, because my God, I'm sick of. Again, he's a first time
He
third
made
base
the
coach.
right move today. He made the
Finally,
right move today.
fucking blind
It took
squirrel
him long
finds
enough.
a blind squirrel finds a goddamn nut once a month apparently. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. But that can be a conversation for another time. But going into I guess kind of some of the other topics to touch on game two before we get to game three. Gabby was held out in game one, I believe. Tori did say that he would be fine. It was just I think even Gabe mentioned in a group chat some swelling in the hand, probably from traveling and all that, yada yada. Torres said he'd be in the lineup game two. He was not in the lineup game two, and then as we found out today before game three, he was put on the IL retroactive to that injury he had against the Reds, where the fastball from Mena kind of skipped away off the ground and knocked him on the hand. So unfortunately, we are going to be without Gabby for at least a few more games, which is so fun because I don't know about you guys. Oh, I love watching Jose Herrera and his, let me check right now. 171 batting average and 528 OPS.
I don't know who you hate more, Herrera or Pavin Smith.
Oh, Herrera 100%. Pavin at least has some value. Like I said before, like we've said it all the time. He at least has value if he's used right. Jose Herrera cannot be used right in any way or form. Like he can't throw anybody out. He can't run. He can't hit. He can call the game. Oh, fucking okay, cool. Like I'm glad that he can every now and then call a good game, and keep some pitchers' ERA a little bit lower. Which again, maybe that's more important. I don't know. I enjoy having a catcher that's not a black hole in the goddamn lineup. It's basically having a fucking pitcher hit again. We got a DH for no goddamn reason because our catcher can't hit. But that's a whole rant that I can go on. Yeah, he has Tatat says he can bunt his ass off though. He has one value, but that's even very rare because he's usually hitting. It just I don't know. I'm not gonna save I'm gonna save my Jose Herrera.
What's
rant for
so
later.
interesting is he gets there so early for BP with Josh Naylor. I'm like, why? Like, why?
Brother's just never been a good like. It's one of those where just looking at his stats is depressing as fuck, man. He's had an OPS. Let's see, these are his OPS in every year. He went to the league in 22 for Arizona. He had an OPS of 457, 23, 553, 24, 610. This year, 518. Like that's horrible.
That's his OPS. That's not his slugging or on base. That's his OPS.
He's a 165 batting average this year. He is career under the Mendoza line in 394 plate appearances. He really just doesn't do much, especially, again, I'm okay with the catcher not being able to hit. At least throw a goddamn runner out here and there. It's horrible. Then at least he's making the effort. He's trying, give him the effort trophy. Exactly. Like, you know what? If we're just going to give out, participation trophies, Jose Herrera's first in line for it because at least he's trying, But that's a whole rant I can go on. But like I said, that was some news that we got going into Game 3 today. The D-backs were going to be without Gabby for at least a few more games because I think it's retroactive, so it shouldn't be too long. Maybe it's just some extra rest while they get an extra bat up here because I believe even as Steve Gilbert was saying, Jose cannot play every game, and I pray to everything holy that he does not play every game. They did go into this game, and I know a lot of us were making jokes here in the morning about maybe Torey Lovullo just wants to go to Buffalo Bill games a little bit sooner than having to watch them in
I
October.
got really mad that you were bringing that up. I'm like, bro, you don't actually believe that.
No, like maybe 1% of me, but it's more of a joke. But the lineup he put out today was definitely very interesting, especially putting Pavin Smith in the 3-hole. Which again, you know what, we will give the flowers to Pavin and players when they actually deserve it. He did solid today in the 3-hole. Actually, looks like maybe he's turning it around. Who knows? I still need more than just a week's worth of plate appearances, but he did solid. D-backs did avoid the sweep here. As we move on into an actual positive thing to talk about, got off to a hot start. Gino hit his 22nd home run of the year. He has been solid. It's insane how he's hitting 237, 846 OPS. His slugging is just carrying. Blue Jays got back one, an Alejandro Kirk home run. Then the D-backs immediately got back two again because of Gino. Put up another 3 spot with a Pavin home run mixed in there in the 5th inning, and the D-backs did end up putting him 9 in total. DeSclafani wanted things to get a little bit more interesting, and he wanted to ruin Ryan Nelson's decent outing as much as he could. He went in there to eat some innings, and all he did was pretty much eat dick on the mound. 2 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs, 3 of them earned, 1 strikeout, and 2 home runs allowed. His ERA as a Diamondback in a very short time is a 10.38 ERA. And then Shelby Miller did have to be used in this game, which is unfortunate going into Colorado. Would like him to be as fresh as possible. But either way, bottom line, the D-backs do win. They avoid the sweep, and they get back to 500. So cheers all around. That is what we all wanted. But my question to you, do you think the offensive surge, especially when I think Landon, a.k.a. Corbin Carroll Enthusiast on Twitter, if I'm getting the 2 accounts right. They said in multiple places, they're like, this lineup's either putting up 10 or we're getting to shut the fuck out. And they were right in the former. They put up almost 10. They put up 9. And it was just a nice game overall, because I believe in Game 1 they went 3 for 12 with RISP. Game 2 they went 0 for 6. Today they were 3 for 8. Again, less than 500, but I'll take a 3 for 8 with runners in scoring position. They just much better performance overall, even though, again, Jose Herrera went 0 for 3 with a walk, but that's the black hole in the lineup that we're just going to live with. But what did you like from the offense today? Like I said, maybe give Pavin Smith his flowers, because again, we are very critical of him, but when he's doing good, we at least got to mention it and tip our cap to him. Who do you think stood out to you the most, and who do you hope can carry this or maybe even break out going into Colorado in these next 3 games, because Coors Field is the place for hitters to get right?
I mean, Ketel Marte. I mean, I know he's kind of, the obvious choice here, but Ketel Marte, just the fact that he was able to get 3 hits, he was on base basically this whole game. It's just he's so much fun to watch, especially when he's healthy. He hits the ball like incredibly hard. I mean, but I think overall, I think this team can pat itself on the back. I mean, they took out Kevin Gossman. Kevin Gossman, I know this year hasn't been as good as he normally is, but he's still a great pitcher. I mean, this team raised up his average by like 67 points or whatever. Like, he was at a 4, but Cattell 3 hits, Naylor with the 1 hit. I mean, Naylor continues to just hit and slug his way through games. He's at 304. Pavin, even in this game, I mean, he hit a home run. He did catch it a little bit in that win, the way that Gino and I think it was the catcher, Alejandro Kirk, he also got it up in the air a little bit. Just, he got in the win, but, it's nice to see some of these guys coming out of their slumps, if-ish slump issues that they've had. But, I mean, I know this offense went off, but Ryan Nelson just did a tremendous job. I know he's still recovering from the flu he had, but the fact that he was able to go almost 6 innings and give up just the 1 run made it key for this team to be able to add on these runs and not have to worry about the fact that Gabby was out, that Carroll was out as well. Like, they have enough injuries. They can't have injuries to their best catcher and to their best outfielder. And, I mean, Herrera didn't really do much. I mean, he did walk, but I think as the season goes, I do want to see more of Grichuk, because he made a couple outs, but those were super, super hard hit outs. And at some point, if he plays more, those outs are going to suddenly turn into hits and doubles and triples. So I would like to see more of Grichuk.
I do agree. I would like to see more Grichuk, bring him back from the Shadow Realm, let him actually get some more plate appearances, because he's rotting on the bench. Tawa, I can understand a little bit more. He's a rookie, but Grichuk was signed here to at least get a few plate appearances, more than like 4 a week. So I'd like to see more from him. I do agree, Ketel breaking out. If he could, hit like Ketel's supposed to, that'd be huge. I know Nugget was even mentioning in our Discord, him being, him kind of disappearing over the last week being a big reason why, some of their struggles and whatnot. But I think it was just an overall, outside of DeSclafani, just a pretty solid team win in general. I feel like there was, contributions all throughout the lineup. Everybody but Alec got a hit, or everybody but, not everybody but Alec got a hit, because obviously Gurriel, Grichuk. But I feel like everybody had an impact on this game pretty much outside of Alec.
Got on base. I think
at least
got on base.
Got on base, or at least had some kind of impact in this game. I know Gurriel, he at least got on base because of a hit. But either way, it was just a pretty overall solid team win. Pitching, bullpen, again, outside of DeSclafani, just wasn't terrible. And I think it was a very good momentum booster, especially to get back to 500, to avoid being swept in back-to-back road series and going into Colorado 500. Because while the Rockies are not the best team, they've been playing better of late, so they need as much confidence as they can. But Brandon, same thing to you. From today's game, whether it's Ryan Nelson, whether it's maybe a certain hit in the lineup, who stood out to you the most in this outing, and maybe what did you like to see, or what did you like from what you saw today in this 9-run outburst?
Grichuk had bad luck in this game. Two really, really hard hit balls that didn't end up being a hit. Like it just sucks. Like I know he was brought in to be the DH against left-handed pitching, but he needs to play more. Like I'm sorry. Like I know that was his job. Like he knows that, but it like when you face so many righties in a row and you face a lefty once, how is he supposed to get into a rhythm? That's the thing. Like he'll come in and like he just doesn't look good. I'm like, yeah, because he hasn't played in like 5 or 6 days. So, but Gino is making so many people look like this time last year, the entire fan base wanted him to be DFA'd. Do you guys know what he's done since then? It's like 44 homers and 130 RBI. That's ridiculous. Like what Gino's doing right now is just simply amazing. I'm trying to find the comment. Yeah, Jeff brings up a really solid take. Sell high on Gino, get some young arms, and then just let Lawler play at third base. If they go 6-3, 5-4 in this 9-game stretch, do it. Call the Yankees, because I know Yankee fans are clamoring for him. So, like, if you can go ahead and get some really solid, like, I'm talking about young arms that can be in this bullpen or the starting rotation next year.
Luke Weaver, you are a D-back again.
Yeah,
I have to walk back so much shit talk I had about him.
That would fix a lot
He's
of
hurt
things.
right now, isn't he? Though he's down for at least another few weeks.
Yeah.
He's coming back, I think, this weekend.
Yeah. So, also, Jeff brings up why not ADC. I mean, he's played 3 games at catcher in Reno right now. So, I mean, that's the whole reason why they brought up Garcia. A lot of people thought, I think it was Tuesday, he was in the starting lineup for Reno. And then he got taken out. And everyone's like, oh, is he coming up?
Nope.
No. Yeah. Like, as soon as he wasn't brought up, I'm like, I mean, I get it. He hasn't played a lot behind the plate. So, but no. We just need, like, this whole hot and cold Jekyll and Hyde offense is driving me freaking nuts. Like, they had that crazy 9th inning comeback on Saturday against the Padres. They did nothing Sunday, nothing Tuesday, nothing Wednesday. And then we see what we saw today. Freaking 9 runs on like 10 hits. Like, I can't stand, like, this is not good for my mental health. Is when this, like, you'll have a period of 2 or 3 games where this looks like a top 5 offense in Major League Baseball. And then it's what we saw Tuesday and Wednesday, where it looks like it's a bottom 5 offense. So I'm really hoping going to Denver, Mile High, it's going to get a lot of these guys right. And I know I talk a lot of smack about Pavin, but he's the DH. His job is to drive in runs. Also, please cut down on that strikeout rate. Like, if you're going to hit the way you've been hitting, you can't, like, if he would just make contact, like, I'd be okay. Like, it's at like 30% right now. Like, he needs to get that down to the low 20s. Or if you're going to strike out that much, you got to hit at least 1 homer per series. Like, I'm okay if you want to strike out once a game, but if you can slug, I'm okay with it.
And speaking of slug, I know we mentioned this, or it's been brought up before just because you bring up that, and I know Jeff's talking about, maybe trading Gino. It has been talked about he does want to finish his career in Arizona. He likes it here. Was looking for an extension. And because Charles Elliott was bringing up in the comments saying that Gino's hitting like 360 in his last 7 games. Not only is he hitting 360 his last 7 games, you guess without cheating, unless you already looked. Take a guess what his slugging is his last 7 games.
1,200.
Oh yeah,
Not,
it's
not that high. Not that
Oh,
high.
okay.
I,
Oh, it's
I was gonna
slugging. Okay, I'm
Yeah, his
asking the OPS.
his OPS is pretty much 1,200. But what do you think his
so
slugging is?
700.
650s. Yeah, I was gonna
880.
say.
880.
Oof.
He has
Well, he had a stretch where he hit like 5 homers in 6 games. So yeah,
yeah.
it makes sense why it's so high. Like I know, I mean, we could pull it what Tigers did with Jack Flaherty, trade him at the trade deadline, and
Just
then
resign
sign
him.
him this offseason. You can literally also do same thing with Merrill Kelly.
And then
But
With
I don't
Josh
think
Naylor.
I don't think they're I don't they would have to get a ridiculous offer for Merrill Kelly in my
yeah,
opinion. I think the two most likely trades are Gino and Naylor.
I agree. And
Also,
then because
if you want to sorry, we're talking about Grichuk about him being unlucky. The sack fly that he hit, it came out of a 110 off the bat. It had an 820 expected batting average,
Yeah.
and the ball he hit to the wall had a
that was a great play.
350 expected batting average, and it was a home run in 6 out of the 30 ballparks. So he did get really unlucky. He played in a couple more ballparks and just not hit it straight to defenders. You're talking about a guy who has 2 hit game with a double and a home run today.
Yeah, say just because Brandon brought it up earlier, I went to Fangraphs to look up his numbers when he was saying like this time last year. I think if you go to 6/18 of last year, so one extra day, it is actually 162 games. So over his last 162 games, Gino has 45 homers, looks like around 128 RBI with 178 strikeouts, which is just hilarious. Welcome back, Mark Reynolds. We missed you. I only say that because I watched a
I
Jolly
mean,
all
that's
year.
literally what he is. He's Mark Reynolds.
Not as many strikeouts though, because again, Mark Reynolds had like 200 strikeouts. Gino's only at the 178 mark here in his last 162 games. But either way,
I mean, you're bringing up Mark Reynolds. If that's what Pavin was with the strike era, he has over 30%. He has 31 and 32. But if he's hitting 30, 40 bombs, I would be fine with that. If he
Yeah.
was a 3 outcome guy, I would be fine with that. The problem is he's a 2 outcome guy. Either he walks once and then strikes out 3 times. Like there's no in between. Like he's providing nothing. Even now with the couple home runs that he's hit during this week, his batting average is still like 150 in the last 7 games. Like he's just not hitting. Like I know we want him to be out of the slump. Like if he's out of his slump, then that means it's good news for us. But he just hasn't been, and it's not going to be. Like there's too many holes in this lineup. I think at times, and I would love to have ADC up here to have that DH spot, damn near permanently. But he's only has 17 games that he's played so far, and if Pavin is still, they can't send him down anymore. He either has to, they either DFA him or they got to bench him, and I don't think they're going to do either
Or
one.
trade him.
easy answer. You trade him, and the opposing or the whoever you're trading to pays for Filthy Mac fries for the entire stadium for his full series, and then at the end of the season, whether you trade Gino or you keep him, you bring him back. Grichuk is gone. Gino can hit both righty and lefty. Gino can be your actual full time DH. Keep Gino. Lawler play at third. Boom. We're in a perfect world. We're in society. What we think society is like in year 3000. Just
I had the instead of filthy mac fry, let's do that potato, the loaded potato with the pork, the barbecue pork, because man, that thing was so freaking good. It's like for 2 people. I think it's huge. Like let's just trade Pavin for a year supply of that because I need some more of that for free because it's like $20.
yes, I will say. I know, kind of side tangent. At least the food options this year, whether it's the filthy mac fries, hot honey, the potato, for being $20, it's actually more filling. It's not like it seems like other ballparks or just fast food where you're paying $20 and you're getting like half a portion of food. At least it's actually worth it. But we're only 2.5 games out, says Red Sox Nation. So again, that's why me and Gabe, I know we've been saying it. Brandon's saying that we're not going to see a trade soon. Let's see a proactive Mike Hazen and not a reactive Mike Hazen because I would prefer to not have to worry about all the good names being taken up before we can. But as you could possibly hear in the background, my son's going a little crazy. So we'll kind of wrap things up here. We're going to move on into a series preview. Like we've mentioned multiple times, the D-backs are now heading to Colorado to face the Rockies, who again are playing some of their better baseball than they have all year. They did just, I think, barely lose today on a walk-off to the Nationals. They've just been playing better in general. Game 1 tomorrow night is going to be Zach Gallen, 4-8 with the 5.19 ERA on the season versus Austin Gomber, which you guys might remember he was who the Rockies traded Nolan Arenado for, so that's sad. He's only had one fresh start this year. He's 0-0 with the 3.70 ERA. Game 2 is going to be Merrill the mainstay, 6-3 with the 3.41 ERA going up against, I think, Carson Palmquist, who is winless on the season, 0-4 with the 7.76 ERA. And then the Sunday finale is going to be Brandon Pfaadt, 8-4 with the 5.38 ERA going up against Antonio Senzatella, who's just been having a rough year. He is 2-10 with a 6.72 ERA. So my I guess question, or maybe not even question, but what are you guys looking forward to going into this final series? Yeah, say Oscar, you were not wrong. He is also mad at the bullpen. What are you guys looking forward to in this final series? I know Gabe kind of already mentioned maybe some guys like potentially breaking out. Who's a bat that you're going to keep your eye on going into Colorado? Maybe a bullpen arm, because this is where pitchers, if they can shut down even a god-awful Rockies team, who, by the way, go look at the run differential. I know at the Padres series they were almost
disgusting.
It's like they're negative like 200 something, so not a team that scores a bunch, but again, Coors is Coors. So what are you guys keeping your eye on towards, whether it's a pitching matchup, hitter, or maybe even just in general some series predictions for the outcome of everything?
So quickly, I think Red Sox Nation said a 2.5 out. The Padres and Dodgers game is still going on, so Padres are winning right now, so it could end up being 3 by the end of today, but also the Dodgers have 2 men on with 1 out, so we'll see how that one ends. It could be 3, it could be 2.5 by the end of, or 2?
2.
Quickly, yeah. If the Padres somehow lose, it could be 2 games at the end of today, so it makes them get closer, but overall, it's going to be, the D-backs have probably easier scheduled this weekend against the Rockies, because the Cardinals are above them are going against the Reds, so they can beat each other up a little bit. And the Padres are going against the Royals, and the Giants are going against the Red Sox. So be on the lookout for that series. Rafi Devers against his former team. So hopefully this team can make some ground in the wild card because of these matchups, because they do have the lower quality matchup, I'll say. The main thing for me, tomorrow's Zach Gallen. Coors is notorious for off speed, especially curveballs, and he relies so much on that damn curveball. So I would hope that him or Merrill or Fott, they rely on their fastballs because they all have pretty damn good fastballs. They just need to locate them, and they should hopefully be able to take this 3-game set. I mean, I'm hoping that they're able to get the sweep. If they win 2 and lose 1, I'm gonna be a little bit more frustrated. If they lose the series, I think all of us are going to feel a little bit of a maybe we should punt on the season at that point. But yeah, I think they have to sweep. In terms of guys coming out of their shell, Pavin, I'm hoping he just does more. He's been bad for 2.5 months. He was good for 3 weeks. We need to see more. If the team's going to keep playing Pavin and keep having him as a DH, he needs to show me he deserves to stay up.
Right, you are muted, sir.
Thank you. I do agree. There's going to be a lot to keep our eyes on, kind of monitor, because this is the start of 9 games where the D-backs really need to take advantage of their schedule and prove that they are going to be contenders and need to just make a move or two. But I agree with Josh, our producer, in the comments on the Dispatch page, saying hopefully the Dodgers can't use the Indiana Pacers, Pascal Siakam, Devil Magic to win the game. Don't worry. We don't have to worry. The Dodgers don't have the Haliban, so we don't have to worry about any crazy kind of last minute shit going on right there. But Brandon, same thing to you. Is anything that maybe Gabe didn't touch on that you're gonna keep your eye on? Anything that you wanted to kind of double down on with what Gabe said, or is anything in general for your thoughts and predictions going into this 3-game set in course?
Consistent offense, not this cold for 1.5. I would rather, instead of a 5-run inning in the 7th, I'd rather you score 1 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th, 2 in the For me, that just it puts my mind at ease a little bit. I will say the Rockies have 2 bullpen arms that I wouldn't mind trading for.
Halverson being one of them.
Yes, Halverson and Jake Bird. Jake Bird's having a really good year. 32 games, 41 and 2/3 innings, 54 strikeouts. His ERA is just over 2. And Jake Bird has a lot of control. So that's kind of a downside because that might cost us a
Can we
little
interest you
bit.
in one Pavin Smith and one other name? Maybe a
Yeah.
pitcher? Maybe Gilbert Diaz?
Seth Halverson also has a decent amount of control available. I don't know if you guys saw that pitch he threw. I think it was yesterday. 102, literally
Black.
15 feet behind the batter. I was like, oh, and then he throws three fastballs like right down the middle. I'm like, wow, this is pretty intense. But
Close enough.
for
Welcome back,
this
Wild Thing.
for this series, like, we, I don't want to say that we need a sweep. A sweep would make me feel really good. Yes, I know people are saying, oh, like the last 2 weeks they're playing 500. Since the Nationals played us, they've been dog shit. They've been really bad. Like they were, I think it was either 10 or 11 game losing streak that they snapped today because James Wood is insane. Should be an all-star, by the way. Whether he's starting or not, James Wood is really special. So, really, I just, if it's not a sweep, at least a series win. Because for me, what this 9-game stretch, like where we are at the end of this 9-game stretch, for me, will determine if, and I would say I'm probably the most positive about the season of the group. If they go 5-4, I'm like put a fork in them. They're done. But anything more than that, like 6-3, 7-2, like it would put us really in a good spot at the beginning of July, and then maybe Hazen will be a little aggressive and because getting an additional starting pitcher would be nice as well. I don't know if it's necessary as much as bullpen. But the thing is, if they wait till like that last week before the trade deadline, everybody else is going to be trading for bullpen arms. So if you want to get those bullpen arms, you need to get out in front of it. So that's why I think this 9-game stretch is so important. At minimum, 6-3. They have to, at minimum, go 6-3. And anything less than that, then really they're kind of treading water, which was what was so frustrating with Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday's games, because it basically undid the 5-game win streak they were on. We got back to under 500. I'm like, you guys, like, why do we do this? Why do we play really well for 3 or 4 days, and then we play like dog shit for 3 or 4 days? Drives me freaking nuts.
Say I gotta really quickly. I gotta get out of here. Say my son's going crazy out there, and I don't want to leave my wife's stranded up there. But appreciate you guys. Gabe and Brandon are gonna close things out over here. We'll be back. Or at least the full trio will be back. Again, stay tuned. I'm dipping, but these two gentlemen are still getting their final thoughts, and so don't you guys go anywhere. We'll see you guys next time.
Hold up. There we go.
I want to bring up Jake Bird's stats really quick because don't look it up if you haven't looked it up, guys. I know he's a big trade guy. What do you think his stats are at Coors Field? Just say an ERA. Throw it out there.
4.5.
4.5. What do you think his ERA is out of Coors Field?
Well, I know what his total ERA is. It's around 2, so it's probably around 2 outside of Coors.
Okay. His home ERA at Coors is 0.41. His away is 4.12.
Okay, never mind that.
So that's I did see
the
it
opposite.
When they were here, I believe, recently. When I did look it up, and I'm like, oh, is Jake Bird a trade candidate? Is he a legit guy that this team could look forward to? And I saw his stats, and I was like, oh, never mind. Like, I don't know. Maybe with the different pitching staff, maybe in different conditions, it could be a little bit different. So, but for like that, 4.12 ERA out of home and 0.41 at Coors. I think and it's not like it's he's pitched once at Coors. I mean, if you break it down, he has 17 games at Coors. He has 15 games away, 22 innings at Coors, 19 away. Average 125 at home, 312 away from home. His whip is .73 at home and 1.68. So I don't know what it is. I maybe have to watch more Rockies games, maybe to see if maybe he's just getting put in like situations where there's no winning there. But I do think Jake Bird has a lot to offer. But I think seeing that maybe he just performs better when he's comfortable at home. I don't know what it is, but those are the craziest splits I've ever seen in my life for a Coors player. And I don't know how comfortable I would feel with trading for him, maybe as a lower leverage guy, but it's crazy. I don't understand those splits at all.
So, Robert Suarez just hit Ohtani, and he got ejected from the game, by the way.
Soft.
So crazy.
Soft.
Yeah. But no, that's freaking crazy. Like, 0.4 at Coors. How is that even possible? I didn't know that was possible. Wow. So, but no, I just, a sweep would be nice, but at least a series win for me.
Yeah, that's where I am. Like, I mean, I think a series sweep would be a lot better. They put him 3 games above 500, and at least make some real leeway in that wild card space. But again, this team has to trade for a bat and a couple of relievers just to truly make this team into a contender that it needs to be, especially with the money that they've invested in it. Like, you can't just let the season go to waste.
No, definitely can't. But no, I think that's pretty much it for the show tonight, guys. We appreciate everyone that was in here. Charles, Scott, Cam, Red Sox Nation. We had Oscar in here. Jeff. I think I said Charles. Just wanted to make sure that. And our resident Paven Stan, Ethan, was in here early. We do appreciate everyone here for jumping in. Make sure to check us out everywhere on the internet. So check us out on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Check out our Discord. Link is on our Twitter, and it should be in the description box as well. Check out our articles on AZ Snake Pit. We will see y'all in the next show. Hopefully talking the sweep.
Under the lights, the game goes down. Tears are a heap, but we own this town. Brennan Gabe on the call, with Josh in the back, bringing it all. Fastballs hum, the bats ignite. 9 innings deep, we fight all night. Wins and losses, highs and lows, we break it down, yeah, that's how it goes. Dbacks Dispatch, turn it